What in the am I doing? Have you ever asked yourself that question? You ever had that thought floating around in your mind, just eating away at you? Well, we've been dealing with that over the past week or so, and it's been tough. It's not fun, to say the least. I think what leads to this for a lot of us is the lack of clarity, the lack of validation. There's a lot of ambiguity in what we're doing. We might achieve little bits of success here and there. We might, get people to sign up for our product. We might start seeing people actually pay us for it, and we might even be growing, right? Some positive signs. But how do we know this is the right market? This is the right opportunity. This is the right solution to provide, even for our current customers, right? And a lot of these unknowns, they can really start to eat away at you, especially when they come to the forefront of your concerns on a daily basis, whether you're considering a new feature or a new target segment, whatever it is. And then you start to dig into the data, and then the data starts to even raise more questions, and you start to get more confused about what you're doing and why you're doing it, because clearly the data is not giving you that right or wrong yes or no. And then, as entrepreneurs, because we're always looking for opportunities and solutions to provide, we get this shiny object syndrome where, it looks like there's an opportunity here according to the data, which would, if we could just add this one feature, then we can go this way, and this market opportunity seems a lot more promising. But then, there's another one that arises, and then you start to realize there's 4, 5, 6, and then it's like it compounds on itself, and you then are just beaten into this sense of just helplessness and like you can't do anything right. It sucks. But the way we've been overcoming this for the past week or so is to systematize our thought process, to lay out all of these opportunities on the table and to evaluate them by standardized considerations or standardized metrics. And because, especially when you're a bootstrap startup, you don't have the resources to pivot left and right and up and down. One pivot, could be your last pivot because the resources just aren't there to sustain itself. And so you want to make sure you have your bases covered. You want to approach situations like this very strategically and weigh each opportunity according to its merits and its costs. So we've laid out all of our opportunities and paths forward and evaluated them based on actually a lot of the criteria from the product market fit video that we did, and tried to understand, was this new exciting idea that we had with our product or with regard to how we could just maybe slightly tweak something in our product to go after a new market, is that as promising as it seems? And oftentimes it's not, because whenever you go after a new market like that, you're starting over from scratch. All the momentum that you've built up to this point with your current target market, with your current product, it all goes away because that new market, doesn't care about any of that, right? You might have a different value proposition. You might have different sales channels. You might have different everything, organizational chart for that matter. And obviously capital required is one thing, but it ends up being, when you approach things in a systematic way like that, you start to untangle some of the things that we, as entrepreneurs, we rationalize as being, that seems like all we have to do is X, Y, and Z, and then we can do it, right? We're there. We're almost there. But in reality, we're not. We are rationalizing things and making them seem a lot more simple than they actually are. And again, as a bootstrap founder, these types of decisions obviously cannot be taken lightly because you can't pursue multiple markets at once. You have to pursue a single market, and you have to do it damn well. You have to literally just own it, right? You need to get the loyalty of that market, and the only way to get the loyalty of that market is to build something specifically for them to where they will do anything to use your product over competitors. And you're not going to build that type of product, that type of company, attacking multiple fronts. Your resources are going to be spread too thin, and it's going to be the recipe for your ultimate failure. So the key is to stay focused and to realize that you can only approach one opportunity at a time, at least until you succeed with one. And so that's the first thing, is figuring out, did you set out did you accomplish what you set out to do? And if not, you better take this decision very very heavily. It should actually not be an easy thing for you to just all of a sudden reconfigure the entire company to attack a new market based on your whims, essentially. And so if you haven't accomplished that, again, are you ready to start over on that new goal? Because that goal is shifting. It's moving somewhere else. And so you're starting from square one. And are you ready to do that? Because the small amount of momentum that you might have right now, it might be that you just need to stick through it for a few more months or whatever, however long. You might be right there before you take your business to the next level. You don't know. We don't know, right? The lack of a blueprint. We don't know. And so are you willing to throw all that away? So you better have a lot of really good damn data for justifying a decision in reconfiguring your company and your goals. And I think that's where, coming back to this systematic approach, it'll allow you to identify the holes in your thinking and at least understand where you need to gather more data and not. And once you have all that data, ultimately it's about coming back to the fact that realize you need to stay focused. Realize that you can only cater to one customer. Coming back to who it is you wanted to help in the first place, you need to justify why you don't want to help that person anymore if you're going to go after this new low-hanging fruit. It's not an easy decision to make. There's no easy magic fix to this. I can't tell you what to do. But structure your thinking. Weigh the pros and cons and the costs, of course, of each direction, each opportunity. And then maybe you'll have at least a better idea of whether it's the right thing to do to take your company in an entirely different direction or not. But for us, we've decided to stick with our current market. We're doubling down on a small market that most VCs would probably laugh at, but we're gonna own it, and we're going to expand it and create a market where there currently isn't one. And we think this is the best way to do it, is just by focusing on our original, the customer that we had in mind when we developed this company and this product, and we're going to do it better than anybody else on the market is or can think to do. And that's what we think is the quickest way to achieve our goals. It might be the quickest way to achieve yours too, once we take ourselves out of the excitement of looking at all the opportunities surrounding us and just focus and attack one of them. Well, that's my tidbit for the day. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And if not, I will see you all next week.